Much better. Okay. All right. I muted you, Ryno. So if you had it, yeah, I'm still getting the echo from someone. I'm guessing that's you, Omar. Um, because everyone else is muted. All right. So um, we do have Net Label Week and Net Label Day coming up. However, we have a meeting on Saturday for the July 12th conference planning, and then don't know if we have any other of the Net Label Day stuff scheduled. Yeah, I don't think we have another thing scheduled. But we did record yesterday um, a sort of Q&A session about getting folks to sign up for um, the 51 hours of DJ sets, and also um, just for the standard Net Label Day releases. So I don't know that there is a whole lot more we need to talk about on that. Um, I'm not. Omar may have went to go get a headset. So um, Omar, I don't know if you can hear me, but we might want to, when Omar gets back, see if there's anything that he needs from us. But I think our first order of business needs to sort of be whether or not we think the second Monday is a good time to have these going forward. Um, my main concern about it being the second Monday instead of the first is that um, people might forget. At the same time, I think it's probably more likely for a bunch of other stuff to be like the first part of the week. I don't know if Monday is a normal day for things to really be scheduled. I mean, we kind of have survivorship bias here. Obviously, no one that has a conflict on the second Monday would be here unless, like, they had something that was not, they had a week that got canceled. Um, but just in general, do we think this will work? I mean, time zone wise, like it's still during the workday, Mountain Time and Pacific. I don't, there's certain people who can't do stuff on the weekend. I don't know if that's really a solvable problem. Like we got people in a lot of different industries, so we may just have to pick one and go with it. So, any thoughts?
You mentioned people forgetting times. I mean, couldn't you just send out email reminders or something?
I
Um,
mean, that's what calendars are supposed to do. So,
yeah,
um,
I don't really have a problem with this date and time,
yeah.
so
Um, the other thing is specifically next month we could move it. Um, it will be on literally on Net Label Day, um, which I mean maybe that's good. I kind of think it's not ideal. So we could just move it for like 1 month and then move it back. I don't know, or we could just keep it second Monday. Take a break from the stream.
My days just constantly change. I can't promise that the second Monday will work every single month. I can't promise Saturday or Sunday will work every single month. It's just thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
things are always changing and always moving.
fair enough. But Net Label Day specifically, do we think it makes sense to move it or
it may work for those who aren't scheduled to be on the stream at that particular time.
Yeah.
That's really kind of the only exception that I see.
It doesn't sound like anybody feels strongly about it, so we'll just leave it. So do feel free to send the invite link to anyone that you think might be interested. And of course, we'll record them for folks that can't make it. All right, excellent. So let me see. What is the best way to do this? Maybe sharing my screen is the best way to do this. Start screen sharing. Time screen. I'll have a little bit of. Oh, that's the wrong one. A little screen inception here, and then. All right.
I just felt like I needed to compete with Omar's hat.
There we go.
It's my Grand Poobah look.
Yeah. I guess actually before we move to this, speaking of Grand Poobah, I'll stop the share. I don't think you heard. I don't know if you had your audio on, but we have a meeting next week for the conference, for the July 12th conference.
Yeah.
We don't have any other meetings specifically for NetLabel Day, but we did have sort of a Q&A session yesterday regarding the spreadsheets. So, I think it's not complicated to like go and get people to sign up. So, but is there anything specifically that you need help with for NetLabel Day?
Usual paucity of material is kind of the whole. We've got a month, and it's always last minute stuff.
Right,
Everybody
yeah.
comes in at the deadline. Still, even if I notify them in December or January, it winds up getting to me on July 11th. So I'm not going to fret.
Yeah, the concern is that or my concern, a concern, I don't even know if it's really my concern, a potential concern is that if you don't do the panic thing where you send out to everybody, then the last minute stuff won't come in. But I don't know. I mean, it probably will. I mean,
well, it's nice if it. How do I put this politely? Despite being the person who was allegedly the event organizer for NetLabel Day, my name isn't the one that buzzes on people's lips. It's a lot easier if I have somebody else who has a better name than I do. So if you and Jason have way more contacts than I do and who are more active than I do, will nudge people, that would be swell. If Ryno could do it, that would also be swell. Other than that, I'm just going to bombard people a couple of times, and if they respond, they do, and if they don't, they don't. I'm used to this after about 4 years of this now.
Yeah. Cool. All right. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything specific before we moved on. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm
real quick before you do move on.
Yeah.
Omar, if you send me links when I go live on Friday night, I'll make sure to share them all out and hopefully do some nudge people. But send me the right links to send people to, just because you know how it works.
I do. Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll let you know on Friday. Actually,
Okay.
probably. Yeah, as soon as I wake up on Friday.
All right. I think so. We'll start big picture here, and I probably need to come up with a better agenda item. But I knew that I had this, and I also knew that there's literally nothing on the January agenda that we don't still need to talk about. I mean, some of those things we did talk about at length, but none of them are closed books. However, given that we have my brother helping out this for the summer, I think we might want to talk about the education stuff. However, this is a broader topic than just CC education. We didn't actually ever make a one of these thingies, so let's do that. Let's just make this education, and then we can take some notes. Hopefully, my keyboard is not too super loud. So I think there's two sort of things here. CC, maybe slash music education. So a couple of things that not everybody is going to know about on this call, probably, but certainly the folks that are watching. We are doing a, I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about. This is the first time we've talked about it at length in, on a recorded session. But so I don't. I guess we're gonna do it live here. What we're actually gonna call this. I've been sort of using the term statistics in like data analysis. This whole data analysis thing is doing a lot of work here because I think a lot of people have a misunderstanding about like what machine learning is and what a lot of this kind of stuff is. So, and this is I think mostly. Would be directed at like we'll say releasers, so labels in the net label sense of the term. I think if we maybe just put it just at musicians, it might be a little narrow. So actually, when I was talking to Tom and Josh about this, I think I actually wrote up some pretty nice stuff. So I'm just going to copy this in here. So the aims of this are, and we can put some more. Oh man, this did not work well at all. All right. There are 6 of these, but yeah, that didn't work. So these are kind of like ideas, like we're trying to set the foundations for some of these. And I think these might be the sorts of things that might bring people in. I don't know, maybe, again, like at some level, like us recording this meeting is like marketing material, but obviously we could do a better job as far as marketing material. I mean, maybe this is really like the thing. I don't know. I think if we market it as this, everybody thinks they know everything. So I don't think this is a winning strategy, but I do think this may actually be like, this may be the real one, the real reason to do this. And so again, I wrote this to Tom and Josh and Ty Christian from Lords of the Trident. We're having, well, it's not much of a conversation. I emailed them, Josh responded. That's where we're at right now. So this is maybe, this 0.5 here is maybe like a conversation we need to have later, or maybe today is the later to some respect, because again, we're talking about our educational offerings, and what those might look like going forward. And we can come back to this, but again, I don't want to. So Jason and my brother Evan are mostly the two working on this. But when I emailed Josh from Lewis Ling and the Bombs. He was saying that he was interested in doing some music production stuff. What did he say exactly? On the teaching front, I've thought heavily this last month about getting back into teaching and creating a music production curriculum. Using my studio as a classroom would be cool. So that's as far as we are right now. Actually, that's not true. I split off into another email thread and responded to Josh. Well, Josh hasn't responded, so maybe that is true, depending on how you look at it. Um, but there's not a lot of you know not a lot there. I've been thinking about it, is what Josh said. So, um, I guess, the question for this group is this something that we're interested in doing? Like the stats thing we're doing, and like we kind of just have to, like, timing wise, like we've already made the decision, like it's happening, like the summer is over. August 7th, I think, is our official date. So, like, and obviously we can, people that would like to get involved in that, like the more the merrier. Um, and I think it's, important to talk about here, just like thinking about trajectory, but like we're doing this. Like maybe it's a one-off, but we have the opportunity now, before we get too far into that, to think about maybe, like, are we potentially like branching people off from that, um, and then we have, some bigger thoughts on the education front, that'll sort of like go into things like, how we develop the steering committee and how we end up filing, like those sorts of things. If we really want to go down the education path, um, some of that other stuff is going to start to become a little more clear, I think. So just, you know, that's why we're headed that way. So, you know, Josh, is he going to be able to record? And I think, the thing about both of these things are that they're not CC specific. Now, we can obviously, promote them specifically to CC musician folks, and we can think about the ways in which, um, our community members may be different than the music community at large, and sort of tailor things in that direction. But largely, these are both going to be things that any musician, and potentially anyone who's interested in data analysis, would be interested in. Um, so I will stop there, and, yeah, let there be questions and comments.
I would say I think it would be interesting trying to learn music production from Josh.
Yeah, you do wonder how, like, does he put on like a suit and tie when he goes into the studio? Like, what is his day? I learned something, that so he actually used to work for a AI composition startup. I don't know when or how long or anything like that, but that is just like not something that I would have guessed.
Well, they had the one album that they released, Made of Fakes. That was actually an AI album. When did that one come out? That may have been when he actually did that.
Oh yeah, and it's got like there's like 27 tracks on that. No, 34. 27 are bonus tracks. That was 2019.
Shows how ahead of the trend he was.
Yeah. Um,
very punk of him.
What was
It
that?
is.
It's very punk of him.
Oh, yeah. Um, yeah, he said, I saw it as a way to compose a song like a three-dimensional sculpture, in that a composer can write a song that's different every time you listen to it, like an evolving entity. Unfortunately, no one agreed or used the technology in that way. They just wanted to use it in unethical ways to steal and flood the streaming market with thousands of pieces of mediocre garbage instead of creating singular works of art with longevity. Ah, isn't that the way of the artist?
Mm.
A tale as old as time. Uh, but yeah, so the music production stuff. I mean, I think we have. I'm gonna say this because this is the word that's popping into my head. We have the opportunity for scope creep here, but so I think we do need to decide if that's something that we really want to, like Josh is gonna do this with or without us, like so that's like, you know, not raining on his parade at all, but like whether or not, again, we have any involvement in what Josh is doing or not. I mean, it could be that he does this course in person and then he gives us the materials that he used and maybe we do something digitally, again, maybe with or without him, depending on how he feels about, doing that kind of stuff in front of recording. But do we feel like we're sort of like getting away from our mission by doing stuff like that, or is that a good route to go down?
I'm keen with it.
Yeah. I think, like you said, it might be scope creep on what we're doing overall. But like for me and what I'm doing, like if I could actually learn from Josh, it would help me do stuff to build what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, whether Josh does his stuff or not is kind of almost not the point. Like I think at this point, based on what we know, we have to assume that Josh is going to be in his studio, like hands on, and it's not going to be something that's going to be like a digital format that we can really use. Now, we can talk about it, but before I go to Josh and let's say, yeah, we definitely want to like be involved in helping you create this, um, then I think we need to, decide whether it's worth the resources. I mean, that's, we can come up with 1,000 great ideas, but we just, there's six of us here. Like we don't have the time to implement all of those thousands of ideas. So, um, you know, um, I don't know that any of us, and somebody raise your hand if I'm wrong, but I don't know that any of us have like formal training and like curriculum development and stuff other than Evan. So like, um,
I do.
okay, excellent. So I mean, this may be something where like we would need to lean on you to like make sure we're not just doing stupid shit.
Oh,
Fair.
I don't mind stupid shit in a
Well,
sense.
I mean,
I, the thing with scope creep, I mean, we know what the word is, right? We don't want to spread ourselves too thin,
right.
if you want to use that phrase, right? However, I think the overall goal that we need to remind ourselves of, the more we get people together, even if they don't know it's for a CC thing, probably the better for us. And Josh is a pretty good catalyst for making things like that happen. So I'm willing to support that
Okay.
completely. The more we get people to do the ancillary part of music production, the more we get them in contact with somebody who understands the CC part of things also. And so to that point, it seems to me that that's closely enough rated that I'm
Okay.
willing to put forward on it.
Excellent. Um, so I mean, two is obviously not a lot to go on as far as like a progression. Um, and obviously there's a lot that can happen between now and next summer. But I guess what I'm thinking is, if this goes well this summer, maybe Evan will come back and we can do something again next summer. And so it'd be good to sort of think about, where this might lead. Now, maybe there's enough time between the end of the summer and, you know, the beginning of next summer that we just should talk about it in like January or something. I don't know. But I think, um, you know, everybody's kind of has it in their brain right at the moment. So maybe now, if people have ideas, would be a good time to think. I mean, I guess there is a certain. I put this. I think I put this in here. Yeah, I said not how sure public. Well, obviously it's public now. Um, but like ultimately, like I kind of feel like our like not all of our constituents are musicians, but like we have a large like musician constituent base. And a lot of those people are going to be doing other things that are not like music related. Like they have lives outside of that. So I kind of think that maybe if there are various things that we could do to improve, the lives of CC community members, those could be useful. So, like for example, this is outside of the education realm, at least. I mean, maybe it could fit in somewhere, but like something like universal basic income, I think could be something that we could get behind in some way. How we do that is going to depend on how we end up filing with the RS and like what ways we can try to back that. Um, but like that's the level of things that like I'm thinking about, which again is like not specific to Creative Commons, but like Omar said, anything that we can do to bring people in, and then they're like, hey, this Creative Commons thing. I mean, obviously there's limits to that, but uh, within reason, I tend to think those are good things. So, I guess there's the opportunity potentially to do, and it might go wrong with like some sort of like basic coding skills. That might be something that we want to do at some point. Again, it's like you're a musician and maybe you spend a lot of time doing that, but you don't make enough money to pay the bills. So, um, you know, being a coder is something that you could work on the road and you could tour potentially. I mean, depends on where you get your gig, but so that's like a way that we could help benefit people's lives. So um, I don't know if anybody has any other like. I mean, I guess that you could take that like down a lot of different paths. I mean, like I think the digital stuff kind of works well for. Um, we're going to be doing stuff in a digital medium, but I'll just for the sake of like thinking out loud and giving people ideas. There's like like um, survival stuff. Like this could mean a lot of different things, but we'll just leave it up there. Like like your car breaks down in the middle of Wyoming, when you're on tour and it's, 20 below, like, what do you do to conserve heat? Like, like there's all sorts of like, 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 yeah, you could learn this stuff in Boy Scouts, but like, like you don't have to like be like out in the woods to like, be in a survival situation. So, um, you know, so this is another thing that like potentially like we could, and again, I think if we there's the potential to do these sort of things like to put it in the context, like, hey, you're out hiking and you get bit by a snake, is a totally different survival context than, hey, pyrotechnics just caught this place on fire and now like your band members have like, third degree burns and you're, playing like, you know, you're playing a show, like an illegal like commune show out in the, wherever, like it's gonna take like however long to like get to any sort of like medical, like we could put these things in a context to make them real.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know that that one's like necessarily one that we're gonna do, but like I think there's an opportunity to sort of like provide some value, because I don't think anybody else is teaching that class, survival techniques for musicians. I don't think that's a class that exists. And like, like people might be like, yeah, actually I do need to actually know like some basic first aid, and like what to do in these situations, because we're out on the road, maybe we're in a country where we don't speak the language, and like, we got to take care of ourselves, not because the people are bad people, but because we can't communicate our problems to them. Which of course is like, that's another thing we could do, languages, so like there's a whole list of things that we could potentially do. Now you go too far down this path and we become an education organization. I don't think anybody wants that, not purely. um,
So
so
on that path down that hill, I will say one thing that would be interesting is music scams or scams that impact artists. To
okay.
where how are they targeted and stuff like that? Because like I know for me, I have a security background, and that might be something
Ah,
interesting to, as
okay.
a
Yeah.
resource for the artist. Like, hey, here's
Yeah.
common scams to look at. Here's like some security things you want to
Right.
make sure you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, you could definitely do scams as far as like under like a security, yeah, like don't go to websites that don't have a SSL cert, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
What the hell does SSL mean? Why do people say SSL even though SSL was deprecated like 25 years ago? Those sorts of things.
Mm, yeah.
Uh,
But it could also be like make sure when you're. Oh, I'm getting echo now. But like as you're sitting there going through, how do you protect yourself from scummy sites and stuff like
yeah,
that, and make sure people aren't ripping you off?
excellent. Yeah. So I think this is like, these two, the basic coding skills and the digital security, um, they kind of maybe go along with, with Kate, kind of maybe have a path. Not that they have to be. I mean, I don't think they're the sort of things where it's like you have to take one before you take the other. I don't think we would necessarily set them up like that. Um, but we could think about, and I guess this is mostly for Evan and Jason, you know, designing the data analysis stuff such that we're sort of preparing people for maybe a security or a coding class. And the other thing being like, maybe these are things we don't go too far down in this class because we're thinking about doing them separately. Does that make sense?
Mm,
Uh, somebody's got some bad. Yeah. Yeah, I think that one was you, Omar. I muted you. You got like a fan or something that's like just killing your speaker. Yeah. Like the computer fan maybe? I don't know. It's I wonder if it's like Skype used to have this problem where it would like keep trying to like make you louder. I wonder if like your laptop is like trying to boost your sound when you're quiet. Maybe just mute when you're not talking, Omar, because when you're talking it doesn't seem like it's a problem, but the longer you stay silent, it's like the like the void becomes louder and louder and louder. So Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, we've got 20 minutes left. Um, so this is something that we can talk some more about, or we can, if there's a pressing thing um, that we want to talk about, otherwise we can. I wanna sort of stop here um, and see if folks have thoughts.
So how much of this is workshop based and how much of this is session based?
The course.
Yeah, the courses. So I'm cool with lateral thinking. That's my deal. And I go to a convention that's nominally SakuraCon or Crypticon or something like that. I'm actually really attracted to the things that seem extremely bizarre, which is like going to a convention that's nominally about manga and getting a history of American trans or something like
So
that
you're
because
saying the survival skills for musicians is like you're
I
signing
love
up for
that.
that one. Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, because all that stuff is actually relevant and people will actually need
Yeah.
that, interested in that at some point. But some of that's going to be continuous and some of that's going to be absolutely extemporaneous, right? So I think there has to be some negotiation about when things are available.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know if to answer the question about it was basically like lab based versus lecture. Essentially, is that am I summing up the question correctly, or did I miss it?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, that's one of the things, but also when the labs are open, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Okay.
something that we can just. There are going to be things where we can just sort of compile them into a module that anybody can read at any given time, right? In that kind
Yeah.
of sense.
So
And then there are going to be things that are very hands-on where they need some kind of guidance.
right. So the way that I envisioned well let's just stick to the statistics one because that's the only one that we like have done more than like half a minute of thinking about. Um, the way that I envision this is that we would have like um, class sessions. Like I don't know how many. You know, I don't know if Evan has like a outline or anything yet. But let's just say it ends up being like five. Okay, 5 sessions. Beginner course, not a whole lot going on. So like for 5 weeks, um, or maybe like twice a week. Maybe it's six and it's twice a week for 3 weeks. Again, we got to sort of figure out the timing, but that we would have like everybody shows up to, you know, either CC Music Link or maybe we have like a Jitsi like you know, a Jitsi CC education or whatever. I don't know. And the people that want to do the course, they come to the course and then they have like an instructor led session. But these instructor led sessions are recorded and then folks after the fact can go back and review them. So this is the way that I was envisioning. And of course, and then there might be like some take home like labs and stuff as well. That is a piece that I have not thought a whole lot about. We do have a GitHub, which people could fork and put on, GitLab or Mercurial or SVN or CVS or Helix Core or you know any of the version control tools that people love and hate.
Right.
uh,
Something that's not Microsoft.
yeah. So you know. It's one of the great things about Git is that it's really easy to just take it and move it to somewhere else. And then I think having those materials in source control is probably valuable, because then people can have pull requests for typos and stuff, and they're not necessarily waiting on um, you know let me send an email, hope that the email doesn't get caught in spam, and then maybe they'll fix it, maybe they won't. It's just like anybody can that will give access to it can do those merges. So yeah, I think that would be ideal, for at least for the text-based stuff. I mean, um, yeah. So Evan, I don't
Well,
know if you want to, if you've how far you've gotten. If you want to talk to what your thoughts were about where that was heading, I can
no, I
stop share.
needed. I've been looking to ask you or talk to you about exactly what I guess like the scope or the depth. Because I mean, I can go over like how like the coding works and like the mathematical formulas and things like that, but I don't think that is necessarily what we're thinking. So I'm not sure
Well,
where.
I think we do have to. I mean, we do have to start with some like basical. I mean, like some of this stuff. I mean, I think anybody taking this course should come out, if they come out with nothing else, they should be like, huh, linear regression. That's pretty easy and it works pretty well. Why the hell do I need to fire up a data center in Greenland to do linear regression? You don't. If
Now,
that's the only, if like people like just like I don't know anything he says, if they walk away from it with that, then I think we've made the world a better place. So,
okay, because I didn't
uh,
know like should I. Because I mean, I did one today. I just opened up R and just did a linear regression model, like from what I just learned, like a few months ago. But I didn't know if we were like focusing on Python because some of the stuff was in Python, even though R is like extremely easy to use. But then I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to. R is not necessarily only used for statistics, or it is only used by statisticians basically. So Python is more globally used for a bunch of different things. So it's like, well, I need to teach myself how to do this in Python real fast before I
yeah,
could
I
tell
mean,
anybody else how to do it.
that's probably a bigger conversation than we want to have today. But, um, you know, I guess the main thing that I would say is you don't have a lot of time to put things together, and then maybe because of the time limits, like maybe the in-person stuff we just don't do this time around, and that's something. Maybe what happens is we build all the curriculum, maybe we do some videos and stuff this summer, and then next summer we actually do the in-person classes. And people can use them for what they are in interim. But, and again, it just depends on like, where we are as an organization and where you are as far as like, your personal situation, Evan. What happens with next summer. But that could be one thing that and maybe, I mean, maybe like, I guess that's the question. Do we think we have enough time to like put something together and have courses this summer? I mean,
I, I don't think so.
okay.
Not to do like the in-person stuff, but I mean, could
Yeah.
something be put together to be sent out? Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, I think, you know, a lot of, so, um, a lot of musicians, uh, now there's a subclass like our father who taught music theory, who understand that, you know, music is math, essentially. And to make a slight tangent here, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, quite enjoy it. I believe it's episode 2 has a is just about um, music and math and an alien species that uses it. But anyway, check it out. I don't know if it's only on Paramount Plus, but it is on Paramount Plus. Um, so a lot of these folks though they're gonna be like, ooh, math, gross. Um, so I think it's gonna have to be like very basic, and also but also like very practical early on. Like I think people are gonna need to see um, some some practical outcomes early on to get hooked. I mean, these are not people that are looking to like, I mean, some of them again might be, but most of them they're not looking to be like data scientists. That's not the target audience. So like I guess, you know, the the kid in the class who's wearing the band t-shirt and really just does not want to fucking be there, like that's our target audience. So like when you have a class in school, Evan, like you have all the people but we only have the people in the leather jackets giving you the middle finger. It's just those people. But they're they have things they like, they have interests, so it's just a matter of like giving them the class for them. And that's why I think what we're doing is valuable, because nobody has ever given them that class. That class is always for the people that are going to go take AP stats, that are going to go to college, that like the entire academic infrastructure is designed to like shit out PhDs. Like from high school on, that's the path. And like if you're not on that path, then they don't give a shit about you. And obviously it's not true of every institution. Some institutions like know that that's how academia is and go strictly against that. I mean, my law school was one of those places where they were just like, yeah, fuck all of that. I mean, like as much as a law school can actually do that, that's kind of the path that they were on. So yeah, that stuff kind of does exist, but like people have to get even like a certain far into their academic career to even like see that, like um most of those people are just like, shoved into the drafting class in middle school, and they never get off that path. They're never brought back in. So this is an opportunity for us to bring some of those folks and say, hey, there are some useful things here that you could learn. So
I
yeah.
think part of the deal too is getting people in the context that they showed up for to do something. I mean, I wound up at GNU Linux conference teaching people how to do the Balinese monkey chant as a series of on-off switches, because that's exactly what it is. It's sound, rest, sound, rest, sound, rest. It's ones and zeros the entire time. I mean, in that sense, that's what we're talking about when we say that music is mathematics. You can get that across to people and actually teach them things like that. Sometimes that's a lot easier to do in person than it is on paper, because paper's, shockingly boring for a number of people also. So I think balancing those things and actually targeting the ability and the willingness of somebody to learn something that they think is important to them, and maybe give them a little bit of a sidestep, like, oh, that's also this, right? So that's, I think, another one of our teaching targets, if we want to put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, all that makes a lot of sense and gives me a lot more direction into what to actually get started with and hit the ground running with.
Excellent. All right. I am not going to share my screen right at the moment, but I am looking at the, you know what? I shouldn't, I mean, I've been sharing it, but just for anybody that wants to have this for future, probably what I'll do, since I'm giving everybody that link, is I'll make another sheet. Maybe I'll change the name, and just make it like agenda at Friends of CC Music agenda. There, decision made. Friends of CC Music agenda, and I'll probably clean this up and organize it a bit. But I figured it would be good enough for today. So actually, I will I will share my screen. I was thinking I was just going to look at this and um, the whole like screen inception thing always like but then it's like if I put it on the other screen, then I'm like always looking over here. I don't know. There's no good way to do this. So I guess we've only got a few minutes left. I mean, I don't mind staying longer, but you know, there's only a certain amount of sitting down before like people's eyes glaze over, even if they're doing something that they're interested in. So I think something that we might actually be able to solve in the 4 minutes that we have left is maybe picking a agenda item that we want to focus on for next time. Does anybody have any thoughts?
Did we decide that did we decide to do this during the stream on Net Label
Well,
Day next month?
I think you were not here for that discussion.
Yeah, I missed that because I was asleep.
Yeah. Do like it's only an hour. I don't know. I don't mind moving it a week sooner if we think that's better. I mean, the other thing is that like, or we could move it the week after. We could make it the third Monday, and then people will be like fresh off of like with new ideas from Net Label Day. I mean, all of those have sort of like pros and cons. I feel like doing it the week after, people might be kind of burned out. I mean, like, I I don't know. I'm any of those three options makes sense to me. Moving it a week forward, doing it, just keeping it, or moving it a week after.
I don't have any particular skin in that game. I can ignore all 3 weeks equally.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the thing is like, you know, are you going to have the bandwidth to do any of those weeks regardless? I mean,
On the day of, probably not, because that tends to be crisis time for me.
well, why
And then
don't,
I wind up having to monitor the entire stream the whole time
okay,
because somebody will screw something up. You know how that goes.
fair enough.
We
Why don't,
never screw anything up.
yes. Why don't we do it the week after? People might be tired, but they'll also have new ideas. I think doing it the week before we miss. I feel like we lose more than we gain by having it the week before. That's where I'm at.
Agreed.
Okay. So we'll just do that for one month. For July we'll have it um the third Monday.
I think it's also an opportunity for those people who inevitably email me on July 16th or 17th and say, "Oh, did I miss Net Label Day this
Yeah.
year?" And it's I mean, part of the thing with me and the Creative Commons is it's so event based that it's difficult to keep things going. So if we have something that establishes a continuity like that and kind of keeps the ball rolling so that people don't immediately forget it the day after, that would be swell too. So I'm in favor of the week after.
Okay.
I think we can make a lot more use out of that.
All right. I'm just sort of whatever. Good enough. I'll see if it actually does what it says it's going to do. I have my doubts that this is going to work the way that I wanted it to. Because I didn't put it on the second Monday, and then it said second Monday. Yeah, sure enough, it didn't. It didn't do it. It put it on the third Monday. Um, I can either just change it back, or we can just make it the third Monday every month. I kind of don't really care. My problem with doing it the third is like if it's the beginning of the month, I feel like people are more likely to remember. But I don't know if that's actually real. I don't know.
I don't have a preference,
Yeah.
really.
We can decide next month whether or not we're good with the third Monday. Because yeah, I think as long as it's on people's calendars correctly, then that's probably the important thing. So sweet. Um, does anybody have anything else they want to say on the recording before I hit stop and then we can enter crime time?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to run, but I
Okay.
am going to tell you on the 27th, I will have John Worthy here at the house again. So we'll be doing a live show that night. That'll be fun. And then I'm hopefully going to be broadcasting live from a venue on the 28th. So,
So
gonna,
that's of June, correct?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So just for
So I'm
anybody else.
excited about it. I'm looking forward to
Excellent.
it. John's already talking about the food. So,
Food is important.
food, food is life.
Quite literally.
Yeah.